I don't know if you guys saw Stephen A's reaction on Friday to George Pickens' comments, but I thought this was pretty funny.
Like I said, conditions played a huge part in today's game. I don't really think the Cleveland Browns are a good team at all. I think the conditions kind of saved them today.
Okay, you're a Pittsburgh Steeler. I've never heard a Pittsburgh Steeler in my life complain about inclement weather. I've never heard it. I mean, we've seen them play under the most adverse conditions throughout history.
And it's true. If we're planning on being in the playoffs, which we are, or hell, just the fact that we're going to be playing football in December and January because we have games on our schedule in those months, there's a decent chance we're going to be playing in the snow or inclement weather again. Like, Pickens ain't wrong here. It did help neutralize the game for the Browns and gave a little bit of advantage. I don't want to say advantage toward the Browns, but it lessened the Steelers' advantage over the Browns. Neutralized. Yeah, it's a great word to use. But that can't be an excuse really now or going forward. But another thing on Pickens, I saw the Hail Mary play, or I rewatched the Hail Mary play because I didn't notice what Pickens was doing with Newsome live. And based on what I heard whenever I rewatched it, I was assuming I was going to see Pickens completely not trying and just focused on fighting the dude while the ball was in the air and was still catchable. But after seeing it again, I actually don't think Pickens really did anything wrong here. At least while the play was still live, I thought he looked attentive. The ball just wasn't anywhere really close to him. But it's after the ball hits the turf is when him and Newsome really get into it, and they go flying off to the stands, and the whole scuffle takes place. And now the NFL is investigating it, and hopefully nothing major happens to Pickens. We definitely can't afford Pickens suspension here. Definitely can't afford that. Hopefully it's just a fine. But also wanted to talk some quarterback today, Steelers quarterback, because we're getting a ton of shit being thrown out there recently in regards to who our quarterback's going to be for 2025. The 2024 season hasn't even ended yet. We're an 8-3 team in the middle of the 2024 season, and there's rumors being thrown out there for the 2025 quarterback. Can we just let this season finish out? But you know what? Since it was a long weekend and there's not much else to talk about right now, let's entertain it. So first you have Diana Rossini, NFL reporter, saying that Russell Wilson is likely to be back with the Steelers in 2025. I don't really think that's anything groundbreaking based off of the reports coming out of training camp and like in the offseason, talking about how the Steelers are definitely open to Russ being a more long-term solution as opposed to being a one-and-done guy. And then the fact that Russ really loves it here, and he's talking about trying to play for another 5 or 6 years. But then you see how he's playing this season. He's 4-1 as a starter. What else can you ask for outside of being 5-0? The offense is better with him being the starter. He's thrown for 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's been efficient. Yes, we could do better in the red zone, but the Russell Wilson experiment in Pittsburgh so far is, I think, a thumbs up. It's a net positive. And if the season plays out like it's supposed to, we're 8-3 right now. I don't see why there wouldn't be a reason for him to be our guy next year. If it plays out like it's supposed to, we finish out, 11-6, 12-5, win the division, and we go on a playoff run. So if that happens, why wouldn't Russ be the guy for next year? But I know you guys are seeing some of the reports on Aaron Rodgers that he's most likely going to be a free agent in 2025, that he wants to come back and play, but it's looking like the Jets don't want him back. And if Rodgers is available, some are thinking that it may not matter what Russell Wilson does for the rest of this season, that the Steelers could be open for business for Aaron Rodgers. An article from A&Z Sports, Wendell Ferreira, says that this is the most likely option outside of the Jets. Russell Wilson and Fields are both free agents in 2025, so the Steelers will really need to look at their options. Maybe Wilson wants to stay, but he would certainly be much more expensive than he is now. Rodgers probably wanted more control. That's why he went to the Jets after years with the Packers, but it didn't work. So going to a franchise where he wouldn't be the quarterback, or he would be the quarterback and nothing beyond that, with a respected head coach and Mike Tomlin, would make sense. Yeah, it'd almost be like Russell Wilson deja vu. and how Russell Wilson ended up in Pittsburgh. Russ went to Denver, wanted control. It didn't work out. Then he had to go to a different organization and just fit in and build his reputation back up. So it would be, like my man's saying, pretty much the same thing with Rodgers, because he went to the Jets, wanted his control. It didn't work out. And in 2025, he'll most likely have to go somewhere else with less power and be a little bit humbled and build his reputation back up. So it'd be deja vu for what the Steelers did last offseason with Russell Wilson if we decided to roll with Aaron Rodgers in 2025. But my concern is, are we sure Aaron Rodgers is better than Russ right now? Like, who won when we played head-to-head just a month ago? Who played better in that game? It was Russ. Who's playing better this season? It's Russ. Who's younger? Russ. Don't get me wrong. I do think Rodgers still has it, and there are some surrounding factors at play as to why Rodgers is having a bit of a down year. And part of that is him being a part of the cursed Jets organization. Now, I do think Rodgers has been his own worst enemy at times too. And Rodgers is better all time. If you're going to do an all-time quarterback ranking, Aaron Rodgers is definitely above Russell Wilson. But right now, Monday, November 25th, based off everything I know, based off all the information we're given right now, who's the better fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I think it's Russ. I definitely think it's Russ. Now, could the season go in the tank and Russ sucks over the next 6 or so games? Sure, then I'd change my tune based off that new information, but I really don't expect that to happen, and why should I? Why would I expect all of a sudden for this season to take a U-turn for Russ and just the Steelers in general? I just don't. One, we have Mike Tomlin as our coach. We typically always finish out the season strong, and it's nice that we have this 8-3 record before going down the stretch, because the last however many seasons we've been fighting for relevancy, just being above 500, being around 500, and we're really trying to climb an uphill battle to get back in the playoff race. Now we're at 8-3. We're sitting in a pretty good driver's seat right now, and December and January hits, and the Steelers are typically a good December and January team. So there's that, but also the fact that Russ is playing good right now. He has proven that he's not washed. He still has the arm strength, still has all that, and he knows how to finish off seasons too. The dude has been there, done that. The dude knows how to win big games down the stretch. So just why do I think all of a sudden the season is going to go down the tank because we lost to the Browns on a Thursday night fluky type of game? I don't. So right now, Russ is the better fit for the Steelers, and it looks like Russ is the better fit for the Steelers going forward. But I also saw an ESPN mock draft that had us taking Jalen Milroe. So already right now, going back to what I said at the beginning of all this, we're still in the middle of 2024. We're at 8-3, playoff contenders, AFC contenders, and we got all these different publications having the Steelers with different quarterbacks. And it ranges from the guys in-house already to Aaron Rodgers, and now us drafting Jalen Milroe in the first round. My response to this is no, because if the most likely scenario happens and Russ is back, it means we got a chance to win it all. It means we're going to be contenders again. We're going to have a good chance to go on a playoff run, all that stuff. If Russell Wilson's your quarterback, you're paying him X amount of money to be back, that's where your mindset's got to be. So why would we pick a quarterback and waste early draft capital in the first round to take a guy who's not going to play? Unless Fields moves on and we draft a Milroe and he's doing Fields type of packages, like some of the stuff that we've been seeing the last couple games. But that's not worth the first round pick. Because if you are paying Russ, you're bringing him back, you're probably going to have him around for the next 2-3 years. That's your vision. Let's not draft a guy in the first round just to do packages and stuff. Now, yeah, maybe you're still viewing him as the future long term, but if you got a Russ, let's draft a position to help our team win right now, like a receiver or a cornerback. And the same thing could be said if we pivot to Aaron Rodgers. Now, if Russ somehow ain't back, and if we don't go with Aaron Rodgers or the veteran quarterback route, then Fields is my pick. if you want to go with an upside guy, why not go with the dude that we already have in-house that we're familiar with? Is 4-2 as a Steelers starter as opposed to drafting a dude that's even more unproven and has less familiarity. If you're talking about high upside guy that has talent that still has yet to hit a ceiling, I'm going Fields over Jalen Milroe. So if we do pick Fields and we sign him and he's one of the quarterbacks in the room next year, why would we draft Jalen Milroe? I think that'd be stupid. The only way I see us drafting a guy in the first round or early is if we have a clean slate in the quarterback room. Like, we literally don't have any quarterbacks outside of like a Kyle Allen or a guy that you know is the backup, you know isn't the answer, which I don't see happening. So again, right now, I think you got to roll with Russ. I think that is the answer as we sit here Monday, November 25th. If you had to force me to make a decision, I think you're re-signing Russ. But the beauty of it is we don't have to make that decision right now. Russ has an expiring contract. Fields has an expiring contract. You could let the season play out and then make your decision once hopefully February hits. And if we're talking about our offseason starting in February, whoever gets us there, that's who we're bringing back. Whoever wins us that game, that's who we are bringing back. And as of right now, Russ is our starter, so it would most likely be him. But that's it for today's show. Let me know your thoughts on the Steelers QB situation, not only now, but for the future in 2025. What do you think the Steelers do? What would you do? What do you think the most likely scenario is? And if you have any additional thoughts on that Thursday night football game, let me know down in the comments. But that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Stay chilling. Peace.